Have you ever noticed how there's this contempt for, the Wall Street crowd, people who basically make all their money in financial markets? There's kind of this natural, contempt for that class of people. While we might glorify, hedge fund managers, there's still just this kind of distaste in most people for people who only make their money through the financial markets. And there's actually a really good reason for this. And there's a word for it. And this word is one that I didn't hear until recently. And it actually comes from a biblical principle. And the word is usury. Now, in the Bible, it was actually stated that you shouldn't loan money to people at interest. And people have argued more specifically, they were saying you shouldn't loan money to poor people in need at interest. That was considered usury. But the term usury actually is a little bit broader than just the loaning of money. Usury, as it's defined, is something that in and of itself does not produce anything of value. So when we think of stock traders or people who are making money in the financial markets, they aren't producing an actual physical good. And this is one of those long forgotten sins of the Old Testament that if you look at our modern world today, it's very interesting because a lot of our system is actually run on the principle of usury. And we can see that people are dissatisfied with it. I would say a modern day example of usury, obviously, predatory loans with exorbitant rates that target people, those like check advance places that you see when you're driving on the strip malls where you can get a paycheck in advance, but then you have to pay like 25 or 30% interest or, whatever it is. Like that would be a form of usury. But something else that comes to mind is something like NFTs. And it was argued that no, NFTs are the future because it's this non-fungible token, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, people who were trying to buy and sell NFTs, they weren't actually producing anything of value. They're basically speculating on a trend. They're fully in this practice of just making money off of a trend where there is no inherent value of, the stupid monkey wearing the hat with the cigar or whatever. Anyone can take a screenshot of. Another form of usury, I think, in today's modern society, which I'm probably going to get a heat for this because there's probably a whole bunch of people that love cryptocurrencies and all this, but I would say the whole cryptocurrency bandwagon where you're buying this coin, this Litecoin, it's growing in value, and there's some people that only buy cryptocurrencies and watch the markets. And again, I'm not saying necessarily that it's wrong to do on the side. That was kind of the classical view of usury, that it's a practice that shouldn't be primarily how you make money. And I'll probably get heat for that as well, because there's probably some people that dream of just buying and selling cryptocurrencies and living off that. But the main point is that the practice, it doesn't produce anything of value. There is nothing you can show for the end of the day's work. You can't point to, a graph of all the cryptos that, rose in value and fell in value and sold, and it's nothing that you produced. You simply, took advantage of the market and thus made money, but you did not actually contribute to society as a whole. Now, I also think it's quite interesting that this concept of usury, although it is mentioned in the Bible numerous times, I have never heard a modern preacher or religious figure ever touch on this subject. And I find it ironic, as I already mentioned, that usury is such a common facet of our modern culture. The whole basis of a modern economy is debt, is borrowing. And later on in, I believe it was the Middle Ages, they relaxed their views on usury and loaning money if it was a risk to you and if it was a benefit to the person that you were loaning money, that was seen as mutually beneficial debt. And so it wasn't this very, very strict view of you can never loan money. But however, I still see that usury in today's modern age is all around us. And I think it's not only the people that are loaning money. Think of, credit card companies. It's the people that are, being loaned the money. So for instance, think of, a person with really bad credit who takes a credit card with, a crazy interest rate and then starts buying stuff. The credit card company is taking advantage of this person, and this person is driven by their own, sense of whatever it is, greed, entitlement, because they feel like they need to have, the resources to buy this stuff, and they're willing to pay this price. And I just find it interesting that as the national debt grows into the trillions of dollars, I can't help but think that this system is doomed to fail, simply on the principle that it is usury on so many levels.